Hi, everyone. Welcome back to our podcast. In today's episode, Alex and I are going to share with you some powerful tips to speak English like a native. Speaking like a native goes beyond just knowing the words. It's about getting your pronunciation right, using natural intonation, and feeling comfortable in conversations. Today, we're diving into these key areas with some simple yet effective tips that you can start using right away.
That's right, Sarah. Whether you're just starting to learn English or you've been practicing for years, we've got tips that will make you sound more natural and confident when you speak. So, whether you're new to English or you're working to improve your fluency, stick with us for the next few minutes. We promise you'll pick up some useful tips.
Let's start with one of the most important aspects of speaking English like a native, getting your pronunciation right, and adjusting your intonation. When you're speaking English, it's not just about saying the words correctly, but also knowing which syllable to stress and how to use your voice to convey meaning.
Exactly, Sarah. One of the biggest challenges is stress and intonation. So, let's take a word like photographer. A lot of learners will make the mistake of stressing the wrong syllable. We stress the second syllable photographer, not photographer. If you get the stress right, it sounds much more natural and like how a native speaker would say it.
And that's a great point. Stress is important for single words, but intonation is key for entire sentences. Intonation refers to the rise and fall of your voice while you speak. For example, if you ask a question, your voice should rise at the end. If you say, "Are you coming to the party tonight?" Notice how the pitch rises at the end.
Right. Sarah intonation helps express emotions, clarify meaning, and makes your speech sound more fluid and natural. It's not just about words, it's about how you say them. So, when you practice speaking, don't just focus on getting the words right. Pay attention to the rhythm and melody of your speech, too.
Exactly. And the best way to improve your stress and intonation is to listen to native speakers. You can watch TV shows, movies, or listen to podcasts in English. Then, repeat what you hear and try to mimic the rhythm and intonation. It'll make a huge difference. Now that we've covered pronunciation, let's move on to something else that will make you sound more like a native speaker using natural phrases. Native speakers don't always use formal phrases like, "How are you?" Instead, we use casual expressions that sound much more relaxed.
That's right. For example, instead of saying, "How are you?" native speakers will often say, "What's up?" or "How's it going?" These phrases sound a lot more natural and friendly in everyday conversation. So, when you're talking to a native speaker, try using these informal phrases to make your conversation flow more smoothly.
Exactly. And using casual phrases like "What's up?" or "How's it going?" will help you feel more comfortable and relaxed. It's not just about sounding natural, it's also about feeling more confident when you speak. So don't be afraid to use these phrases. Even if they seem informal, they're common, and you'll hear them all the time.
And it's not just greetings. Native speakers also use casual expressions to describe things. For example, instead of saying, "I'm very tired," we might say, "I'm wiped out," or "I'm exhausted." Or instead of "I'll be there in a moment," we might say, "I'll be there in a sec." These small changes make a big difference in sounding like a native speaker.
That's right, the more you practice using these natural phrases, the more you'll sound like you belong in English-speaking conversations. And remember, it's okay to make mistakes while practicing these phrases. You'll improve with time. So, to recap what we've covered so far, mastering your pronunciation, stressing the right syllables, using natural intonation, and incorporating casual phrases into your speech are key to sounding like a native speaker. Remember, it's all about practicing these tips consistently to feel more natural in your conversations.
Exactly. Speaking like a native is about getting comfortable with the flow of the language. So, keep listening to native speakers, keep practicing your phrases, and most importantly, don't be afraid to make mistakes. With consistent practice, you'll get there in no time. One great way to practice your pronunciation and intonation is by listening to short dialogues from native speakers, like in movies, TV shows, or podcasts. You can pause and try to mimic how they speak. This technique is not only fun, but also incredibly effective for improving your English. You can even repeat entire sentences or phrases after the speaker, trying to match their rhythm, tone, and pace. This way, you get to hear the language as it's spoken naturally and then practice replicating it.
Exactly. Alex, mimicking short dialogues can really help you get used to the rhythm of real conversations. It's about building your muscle memory for how to speak naturally, with the right stress and intonation. Plus, when you pause and repeat, it makes sure you focus on every word and sound. Whether it's a scene from a movie or a clip from a podcast, short dialogues provide a manageable chunk of language that you can practice over and over again.
And what's also great about using these dialogues is that they often feature natural language, including contractions, slang, and informal phrases, things that textbooks might not cover. For example, you might hear something like, "I'm going to head out," instead of "I'm going to leave." Native speakers often use these shortcuts in everyday conversation, so practicing them can help you sound more like a native speaker.
Absolutely. And once you're familiar with some of these shortcuts, you'll start recognizing them in real conversations and using them effortlessly. It's all about making the language feel more fluid and natural. So, try practicing these dialogues several times each time you do it. Your English will sound smoother and more natural.
Another tip is to take some time to work on specific sounds or intonation patterns that you find challenging. For example, some learners find it difficult to pronounce certain vowels or consonants, or they may struggle with the way English speakers emphasize words in a sentence. Pick a short dialogue that includes sounds or phrases that are tricky for you, and then focus on mastering them one at a time. The more you practice, the easier it will become.
Exactly. And when you're practicing, don't just repeat the lines, try to understand the context as well. Watch how the speaker's tone changes when they're excited, surprised, or sad. Intonation is key to conveying emotions and intentions. That's something you can't learn from a textbook, but you can learn it by immersing yourself in real-life dialogues.
And let's not forget that listening is absolutely key to understanding how native speakers talk. The more you listen to English, the more you will start to recognize patterns in pronunciation, word stress, and intonation. One tip that really works is to listen to English podcasts every day, even if you don't understand everything at first. Every time you listen, you'll get better at picking up on nuances. You'll hear the way words are naturally connected, and over time, this will help improve your own speech as well.
Exactly, Alex. And even if you're struggling to understand every word, that's okay. Don't feel discouraged. The goal is to train your ears to get used to the rhythm of the language. You can start with slow, clear podcasts. And as you improve, you can challenge yourself with faster, more natural dialogues. You'll be amazed at how much you start picking up over time. Another thing is that listening to podcasts or watching shows in English will give you exposure to different accents and dialects. English isn't just spoken in one way, there are so many variations. And the more you listen, the better you'll be at understanding all of them.
Right? And don't just passively listen. Try to engage with the material by repeating phrases you hear or writing down new vocabulary. If you hear something interesting, pause the audio, rewind, wind, and listen to it again. This repetition will help you absorb new vocabulary and understand how to use it correctly in conversations.
Yes, and don't forget to look up new words. If you hear a word or expression you don't know, take a moment to look it up and practice using it in your own sentences. This will help reinforce the new vocabulary and improve both your listening and speaking skills. Don't be afraid to make mistakes when using new words. The important thing is that you're engaging with the language and pushing yourself to improve.
And even if you don't understand everything at first, don't get discouraged. It's all part of the learning process. Every time you listen, you'll improve. The more you expose yourself to English, the more natural it will feel, and soon, understanding conversations in English will become second nature.
So, we've just shared some important tips to help you improve your ability to speak English like a native. Whether it's practicing with short dialogues, focusing on intonation and pronunciation, or improving your listening skills. The key is consistency. Remember, progress takes time, so be patient with yourself. The more you practice, the more fluent you'll become.
Exactly. Stay persistent. And don't forget to keep tuning in to our future podcast episodes. We're here to help guide you every step of the way. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you next time.
If you found today's tips helpful, don't forget to hit like to subscribe and share this with your friends. We'll always have new podcast episodes to help you improve your English every day. Let's keep learning together, and we'll be back with more useful tips in the next episode.
Thanks again for tuning in. See you soon in our next episode. Keep practicing. And remember, the more you speak, the better you'll get.
If you enjoyed today's episode and found these tips useful, make sure to share them with your friends and family who are also learning English. The more we practice, the better we get.
Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. We'll be bringing you more tips and strategies to help you speak English like a native every week. Thanks for listening.